Hello, and welcome to the Knitting Type podcast. My name is Sarah, and I'm your host, and I am podcasting out of Fort Collins, Colorado. This is a podcast about knitting and crochet and sewing and crafty endeavors that I pursue. If you are a returning viewer, thank you for coming back, and if you are a new viewer, thanks for showing up and giving me a try. I am going to mostly be talking about the wrap-up of the Gilmore Girls Knit-A-Long in this podcast episode. My aim is to have about a 20-minute podcast wherein I have some giveaways to wrap up, and then I'm going to discuss, my points of view about the revival. So if you are not interested in that, please check out an earlier episode. I will also be recording a second regular podcast episode today. So this one is just purely for the Gilmore Girls Knit-A-Long wrap up. So it's been a couple of weeks. Also, this is my cat's tail. It's been a couple of weeks. I was supposed to have this wrapped up the first weekend of December. The Gilmore Girls Knit-A-Long was hosted from November 1st to November 30th, and we've had a lot of fun prizes and giveaways and great discussions in the Ravelry boards. But I had some personal things happen in the tail end of November and the beginning of December. And so I am posting these giveaways and announcing these final giveaways later than I expected. So I apologize if you were waiting on the results of the final giveaways or for discussion about the revival, that it's taken me a while to get this up. But it's here now, so better later than never. So let's start with the giveaway that was announced in my last podcast. And that was this giveaway, which is in this fancy Ziploc bag. So it is a project bag with Gilmore Girls quote fabric. There are 3 skeins of yarn: Lane Kim, Hep Alien, and Jackson Belleville. And then there is this cute progress keeper that fell over, and this is a cheeseburger from the Gnome Knitter. And then there is a Luke's button on this project bag, and on the other side you can see the Dragonfly progress keeper that is also a zipper pull. So in order to be entered for this prize, you had to answer the question, what storyline are you most excited for the revival to address? And there were a lot of comments, the total of 27, and everybody had some really great responses, just a lot of Rory's boyfriend and a couple of Luke and Lorelai's, and then of course Emily with Richard, and I think those were the majority. I feel like there was a unique one in there that I was like, I hadn't thought about that, but I can't remember what it is now. So of the 27 comments, I did random number generator, which I'm not going to show on this podcast just because I'm a solo podcaster. So for me to sit here and do random number generator and then scroll through all the comments and try to find the winner is kind of boring footage for you all to watch. I don't have a co-host here to entertain you while I look. So I just did it off camera. So the winner was comment number 22, which was Monica Orozio. So Monica, I will respond to your comment on this video and let you know that you're the winner. And so if you could then get in touch with me either on Ravelry, my Ravelry name is TheKnittingType, and you can private message me there, or on Instagram, my handle on Instagram is TheKnittingType. And if neither of those work for you, Monica, if you're not on either one of those, then please feel free to send me an email at theknittingtype@gmail.com. So congratulations, Monica. I will get that out to you as soon as I get your mailing address. I have a lot of packages to ship as it is the holiday season, so I will be at the post office a lot. So as soon as I get your address, I will send that off. Okay, so we then have the grand prize. We're all done. So I had created a thread in the KnittingType Ravelry group for, it was called Gilmore Girls KAL Project Entries No Chatter. And that was a place for anybody who was participating in the knit-along to post their whips or finished objects in there. And the only stipulation was that your project was somehow Gilmore Girls relatable, in that you either used Gilmore Girls yarn, or you found a Gilmore Girls inspired knitting project, or you yourself found yarn in your stash and you found a pattern that you liked and you thought, you know what, this totally reminds me of this scene. I even saw someone make the Lane Kim hat, which I was so jealous of. She wore a brown hat. It might have had, it's either poms or it had little bear ears, and it was so stinking cute. And someone made that in pink yarn. Someone made a Jackson Belleville hat, which was just a brown hat. Lots of people made the I Smell Snow socks, or the, what's the other one? The I Smell Snow socks, and I forget. Anyway, there were a ton of socks. So at random number generator, the first one I got was project entry number 10. And so the way that I did this was, there was 1 through 31, and I realized 1 was my instructions. So I did random number generator 1 through 31, but I wouldn't have counted that first one if it pulled that. So then I was able to find the 10th comment fairly easy because they're numbered on Ravelry. And so the 10th comment was Ski Bum, which is Anita, which is so awesome because Anita and I were supposed to room together at the Loopy U Spring Fling, and I got to meet her. And so it's exciting to know that someone I met not only participated in my knit-along, but also won one of the grand prizes. So Anita, the first grand prize, which I should have shown this to begin with, is going to be this project bag by Mitchell's Creations, which was donated to the knit-along. And so it's just gorgeous. And it says, creativity is messy and I am very creative, which I love. And the fabric's so bright and bold and beautiful. And this project bag has this handle right here, or a zipper pull. It can be either or. And she included some mini skeins. And I love these colors. I think that they're very Gilmore Girls, in that Lorelei, if you will, is just very bright and gorgeous. And so with that, Anita, I'm going to be giving you some Gilmore Girl inspired other objects. So you're going to get this coffee, which I thought was really clever. It's a Trader Joe's pour over coffee brew in a bag. So I believe you just add hot water. And a Toblerone bar. A Toblerone bar. And that is because there's a whole episode about Suki hanging out at the Dragonfly Inn and eating the inn's Toblerones and watching Dark Shadows, and it really annoys Michelle. So I've included a Toblerone bar. And then Anita, I would like for you to tell me of a Gilmore Girls pattern that's available on Ravelry that you would like to be gifted, and I will gift that to you and add that to your library. So anything on Ravelry that was specifically designed for Gilmore Girls, if you don't own the pattern, I'll go ahead and buy it for you and put it in your library. So congratulations, Anita. Thank you for participating. Yay! Prizes! So fun. Okay, and then we have our final giveaway. And I never showed this on the podcast, and that's because I had bits and pieces of it coming, or I was working on something. And so I'm going to show the whole thing now, and then I'm going to announce the overall winner of the Gilmore Girls Knit-Along. And I just want to first of all, thank everybody who participated. It was so much fun for me. I hope you all had fun as well. For me, it's a show that I have loved and loved and loved, and it has been my security blanket while moving to various locations or moving in and out of dorm rooms or moving away from family or anything like that, really. It always reminded me of my mom and of my family, and so I loved turning it on. So when the revival was announced, I thought, oh my gosh, I have to host a knit-along for this. So I just want to thank everybody who helped make this knit-along come true, because for me it was a really big deal and I'd been thinking about it this whole year. So I was so excited to be able to host it. Okay, here's the final prize. So I made a project bag, of course, and I keep everything in Ziploc bags because I have cats and I don't want them to get near the project bags. So this is the project bag for the final prize. This is also Gilmore Girls quote fabric, and it's about a medium-sized project bag with a dragonfly progress keeper zipper pull. The inside is just white cotton fabric. The bottom of the bag is denim, and it has a dragonfly button on it. So some of the great quotes on here is, "My brain is a wild jungle full of scary gibberish." "Lorelai, this thing we're doing here, you, me, I just want you to know I'm all in," which is of course Luke. Let's see. "When I have made $1 zillion from my rocket gum invention, you will eat those words, or rather you will chew those words and blow a bubble with them." Someone prepared deviled eggs to throw at my car. Anyway, there's a ton. It's all over, and the font goes this way, that way, and this way. So part of the grand prize is, of course, this project bag and the coveted Gnome Knitter coffee cup progress keeper. So hopefully you have not bought one, the grand prize winner, because you're going to get one with this. And then, of course, you have to have coffee because it's the Gilmore Girls. So I figured since it's the holiday season, I would get the holiday blend. So there will be coffee. And then, of course, a Toblerone. So not only will you get these items, but you will also get a copy of the CC Almonds Where You Lead, I Will Follow sock pattern. So I will, or she will rather, send that over to your library as soon as I announce the winner. And I'm not going to be able to hold all, well, maybe I will. Okay, so we have these things plus the sock pattern and the moment you've all been waiting for, or at least that I've been waiting for. The one, the only, the exclusive to this podcast and this giveaway by the very generous Legacy Knits, the Gilmore Girls yarn. So let's see, this white, pink, blue one, oh my gosh, so wonderful, is Lorelai. And this blue and black and white one, which is totally Chilton, right, is Rory. And Sue and Chelsea conceived of these beautiful colors. Then I believe Sue dyed them up and skeined them, skeined them, right? Put them into these skeins and sent them over my way for this knit-along. I was so excited. I think the colors are just perfect. I mean, Lorelai is bright and vibrant and unpredictable, and Rory, up until the revival, was very stable and grounded and focused on school. And I love that the blue is like their eyes, and the flecks of darkness, black, is like their hair color. And then Rory's skein is like Chilton and Yale, and Lorelai has the pink and the vibrancy and her total 80s child colorway. So thank you, Sue and Chelsea. I'm so excited for the person who's going to get this. Look at all this. I can't even hold it all. Okay, you guys, I've held off long enough. Okay, here's who's going to win the prize. Of the 30 entries, I used random number generator 1 through 31, excluding 1 because those were my directions. And I pulled number 9, who is Mom of Peg, who is Carrie. Yay! And Carrie won this total prize pack. And so congratulations, Carrie. I didn't say this before, but Anita of the Ski Bum on Ravelry, she knit a teddy bear, and I forget what she said the teddy bear was for. Oh shoot, I am gonna have to look that up. And then Carrie knit a shawl, I believe, out of Luke and Lorelei colorway, and both were beautiful. Both were wonderful and beautiful. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so Anita, who won our first prize, said a baby toy for the newest Gilmore and the newest member of our family. All babies deserve a handmade love. So she knit this super cute teddy bear. Let's see if it will let me show it. Gosh, I love that. Okay, so that's what Anita made, which I totally agree, and we're going to get to why that's relevant to the revival. Okay. And then Carrie, Mom of Peg. Okay, so this is a little, let's see. Can I do it that way? Ooh, can you see that? Okay, that's her. It wants to keep flipping. But she made this beautiful cowl. And so those are our grand prize winners. So congratulations, Carrie and Anita. Both of you just get in touch with me. Either private message me on Instagram or Ravelry, or send an email to TheKnittingType@gmail.com, and I will have your prizes off to you as soon as possible. So let's talk about the revival for a smidge. I'm going to grab my coffee, or not my coffee, my tea here, and discuss in, let's call it maybe 5 minutes, my thoughts. I haven't talked about my thoughts. I do have a discussion thread over on our Ravelry board, the KnittingType podcast group, where I think it says something like revival discussion, so that people could just discuss their thoughts on the revival. And I'm going to take a sip of my tea. Ooh, that's good. So my thoughts. So I watched the revival at home in my office, and my mom and I wanted to watch it together, but I'm in Colorado and my mom is in Maryland. So the day before, we decided we were going to chat on GChat the whole time for all 4 episodes, and we were going to call each other, and we were going to stream it at the same time and say, ready, set, go. And we'd hit play, and then we would watch it. And throughout the episode, we'd chat. And Mom and I were sending quotes back and forth, or, pausing to say I have to run to the bathroom, or what have you. And I think we spent from 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. Watching each episode. We'd call each other after each episode, and we'd discuss what just happened, and we'd laugh and we'd cry, and it was so wonderful because she and I watched them together in Maryland when I was living there, and I think it's such a mother-daughter show, or a son and mother show, but my mom raised me a majority of the time as a single parent, and so we relate to it a lot. And we have a close relationship, and I've always referred to her as like a best friend. So here's what I thought. I think Amy Sherman Palladino and Dan Palladino did a phenomenal job. I think it was so much to take in the first viewing that so many things just bypassed me. And as I read articles later about why certain things were put in place, they started to make sense. So, at first I was like, why is it seasons? And why did they have that musical go on so long? Not that I'm not a musical person. I do like musicals, but I didn't totally understand why it went on so long. And then the Naomi character, I didn't totally understand why she was there. But of course, I've read everything I can get my hands on. And so the Naomi character made sense eventually to me. And the musical, I'm still questioning its length, but whatever, creative, artistic, whatever that's called, they get to do that. So fine by them. I will say I am a Rory and Jess fan. I know that Jess is busy recording This Is Us, which is a great show if you haven't watched it yet. But I didn't love that she was with Logan. I think I had a similar reaction to some other people where I was like, really? After all this time? Really? Logan? Okay. And then it was disappointing. By the way, spoilers, if I didn't make that clear. I didn't enjoy that Logan was engaged to somebody else and that Rory thought it was okay to be sleeping with him, but it's not out of her character. She did it with Dean. It's unfortunate that she hasn't learned anything. And I will say I'm not enjoying the articles that say Rory is the worst, because I don't think that Rory is the worst. I think that Rory is written as a perfectly human character. And I think you can have all the intelligence in the world and you're still fallible, right? So you make mistakes and maybe you learn, but most people are doomed to repeat their mistakes. And I think we see that in Rory. Nobody's perfect and history repeats itself. And, I think that the conclusion of the Gilmore Girls, the final 4 words, will transform Rory into a more mature version of herself. Still always smart, but more mature. So anyway, I feel like I'm rambling and not making a lot of sense. Highlights that I loved. I loved the Life and Death Brigade getting back together. I just loved that scene. I loved the Alice in Wonderland. I loved Colin and Finn, and I forget the other guy's name, and Logan, and the dancing through the streets and the costumes that they wore and how they took her out on this one last magical night. I loved Suki returning, even for just that one scene. I loved to see Michelle again. I loved that they brought him out of the closet. I just kind of loved knowing more about his personal life, but that he was still kind of snarky. And his approach to parenting, I thought, was pretty hysterical. I didn't totally love the wild thing. I read the book. I thought it was great. I thought, that was a little bit cliche, but funny. I loved the speech that Luke gave to Lorelai in the kitchen during the fall episode where he said he's not going anywhere and he's never going to leave her. I just loved that. I loved the whole Emily and Lorelai storyline. They're constantly going to battle for understanding one another. But that inevitably they will always find a way to one another. And I loved how, it started with Lorelai telling this awful story about her dad at his wake. And then in the end, she had a beautiful memory with him, which I think really honored the memory of not just Richard Gilmore, but also, I believe, Ed Herman. I'm going to feel terrible if I got that wrong. The actor who played Richard Gilmore. And then big time spoiler, the final 4 words. I jumped off my freaking couch. I called my mom. I jumped off my couch. I was flailing around like Kermit the Frog in a blender, all like, thinking there has to be more. They cannot leave it like that. There has to be more. There has to be more. There has to be more. And interesting, I've talked to a couple people and I was convinced, like, oh, that's definitely a cliffhanger. There's going to be more. We're going to see this, a whole Gilmore Girls revival for a new generation and more seasons and everything like that. And then I talked to someone, it's Sarah Shepherdess, who gave me her feedback. And Sarah, I'm going to share it. I hope you don't mind. I thought this was interesting. She said it was such the perfect closure that Rory would carry on in the same manner and repeat in her mother's footsteps. I'm not getting the verbiage completely correct there, but that for her it was a perfect ending. And we just know, that life carries on and everything. And I thought, you mean you don't think there's going to be more episodes? You think that's it? It's over? It's done? But I could see where she was coming from. And so now I'm just, I don't know if there will be more. I hope there will be more. I know it will be different. It's always different. It has to be different. We can't go back in time. And I think those people that didn't like it because it was so different, I get where you're coming from. But again, for me, I knew the revival was not going to be the original series. I knew it was going to be different and that technology was going to have changed and people were going to have aged and looked different and voices were going to sound different. And that's just life and that's just time, and we can't go back. We can only go forward and appreciate what is there and what's available, and this is what they were able to do, and I loved it. So thank you all again for joining me in this knit along and sharing all of your Gilmore Girls thoughts with me. You all definitely made my Gilmore Girls revival experience so much richer and more beautiful because you were a part of it. Again, if you won any of the giveaways, please get in touch with me and I will have those shipped out to you as soon as possible. And I hope you all have a wonderful season. Bye!